this bill. We're happy to support it. I have to be honest and say if it gets to the next stage, we would propose that it is amended because we have long held in People Before Profit, as Deputy O'Callaghan has just said, who obviously shares the same opinion, that people who pay their rent and who have done nothing wrong deserve security of tenure, and under no circumstances should people be evicted when they have done nothing wrong. That is our view. So it's not just about the emergency, although that is the most imminent danger, is that in the current situation a notice to quit, an eviction, makes you very likely to end up homeless. But in any event, people who are renting in this country, 750,000 people approximately, men, women and children, live in private rented accommodation. Why should they deserve less security than others? Why? Or less security than renters in the vast majority of countries in the rest of Europe? Why should they be second-class citizens when it comes to fighting for something that we were fighting British landlords when we were under British rule, and which was a major contributory factor to the Irish Revolution, which was to fight for fixity of tenure? And yet, more than 100 years on, in a supposedly independent state, 750,000 people, this government doesn't believe that they have the right to security of tenure. I mean, we're debating should there be a sticking plaster, but what about the fundamental question? Why should somebody who pays their rent ever have the threat of eviction over them? The answer is they shouldn't. But this government, in a cold-hearted and cruel decision, has, by lifting this ban, made a decision to allow thousands of people potentially to be evicted in the short term, men, women and children, but also more generally believes that it is okay for hundreds of thousands of people to have the constant insecurity and fear of possible eviction when they have done nothing wrong hanging over their head. It is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And indeed, People Before Profit brought a bill forward in 2016 against all no-fault evictions, in 2018 against all no-fault evictions, a bill to stop you lifting the COVID eviction ban, and more recently we actually got a bill passed a month ago in this House against lifting the current eviction ban, at least until the housing emergency is over. Not that this government cares what decisions happen when bills or motions do get passed by the opposition. The government simply dismisses and ignores them. And that leads me to the most important thing I want to say, because I don't think the government are listening. I think they have clearly set out their stall, that the interests of landlords, of wealth asset management companies, of vulture funds, of people who are profiting from the housing misery of others are more important than the rights of tenants and others who are affected in different ways by the housing crisis. So our view at this stage is people need to get out on the streets and protest, and that on the day, which is traditionally a day for jokes, but of course it's not a joke, it's a terrifying prospect and reality for thousands of people, that they may end up without a roof over their head, to come outside this door at 1 o'clock on the Cost of Living Coalition demonstration. And I hope that there will be thousands and thousands and thousands, not just the ones immediately threatened, but all of those who live in private rented accommodation, all of those who are on housing lists for a decade or more, all of those who are working hard and paying their taxes but bringing home an income that couldn't possibly hope to afford the rents that are being charged out there or to afford the extortionate house prices. I mean, you look at Cherrywood in my area, the biggest residential development in the state, 8,000 houses, the first of those houses, which have been drip-fed onto the market by Hines, an American-based wealth asset management company, being rented out at €2,600 a month. So you would need an after-tax income of over €31,000 just to put the roof over your head in one of those developments. I mean, who has that? That's before you pay your bills. That's more than the after-tax income of the average worker. It's absolutely shocking. Profiteering while others face homelessness and housing misery. And I just, in my last minute or so, I want to ask about the government's mitigation measures. The tenants in situ scheme, which you've been dragged kicking and screaming into doing by those of us who proposed it, but with the cost rental option for those that are over the threshold, is there going to be an immediate instruction about the details of that? Because at the moment local authorities have no clue about it, right? And I find it remarkable. The Taoiseach came in here in the last week, and I saw him alluding to it in a speech he made in Brussels about a case I've brought up again and again and again, where he said judges don't want to evict people, right? And he was referring to a case I brought up. I was in the court with that family. They were evicted Friday last. Okay? They were evicted from the house they've lived in all their lives. The judge gave them a 6-month stay, but was legally felt compelled to evict that family and their kids and so on, a working family. But they were told by the local authority they weren't eligible for the cost rental scheme, that there was no such scheme. We talked to approved housing bodies and so on. So are the details of that going to be put out, and are local authorities going to be given clear instruction that that is to commence and that they are to do it on a proactive basis and not for looking for excuses not to do it? We need those commitments, and indeed a lot more. We still think we need to protest against this rotten decision, but in your mitigating measures, let's at least give the details to the local authorities so there's some chance of making a difference.
Barry.